Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. We are excited that you're here with us today on Co-working Live with Red Worldwide. And it's Tech Thursday again. We're so excited because we know that whoever it is that is coming on Tech Thursday, they're always going to bring it and give us something that we can utilize to make our businesses better. And so, with that said, I want to bring to the mic Javon Freeman. She has just a wonderful array of talents and skills that she shares with us often. And we are so excited to have her continuously sharing in our community to make sure that we have the most up to date information about tech. And so we are going to give her the full time today because she has some wonderful things to share with us about sustainability, and we want to know it. So, with that said, I'm going to bring her up and make sure that everybody can see her. Here we go. All right. And Javon, thank you so much for being with us again today. We're excited about what you're going to share, and we look forward to just making some things happen with the information that you've been sharing with us. We have been excited each week, to get something new. And so we look forward to whatever the new things are that you're going to give us today. Okay, I'm going to remove myself so that you have the full screen, and we um, are here. We go. Take it away.
Well, thank you so much for having me again. Again, am Javon Freeman with Divine Lux Properties and Lux Vision Studios. Divine Lux Properties, a VR and AR solutions company, and Lux Vision Studios, social media, multimedia management company. And today, we're going to get back into it since it is Tech Thursday. How exciting I have a lot of information to share regarding sustainability. So let's just get to it. So what we're talking about is sustainable tech innovation in green technology for virtual business models. Okay, so today, we'll explore how sustainable technology can be integrated into virtual business models, creating virtual environments that promote environmental responsibility and sustainability. Okay, so the importance of sustainability in the virtual business model is um, as virtual business models expand, integrating sustainability principles is crucial to ensure that they evolve in an environmentally responsible manner. This approach benefits the virtual environment and influences real-world behaviors and practices. And that is just based off of my source, Virtual World Society, the Metaverse, and Sustainability. Let's see here. So let's talk renewable energy and data for data centers. Okay. The infrastructure supporting virtual business models include data centers, consumes significant amounts of energy, and transitioning these data centers into renewable energy sources such as solar and wind. One second, such as solar as, I'm sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. Okay. Such as solar and wind can drastically reduce the carbon footprint. Okay, one second here. I'm just getting my slides together. One moment. Okay, so companies like Google and Microsoft are already powering their data centers with 100% renewable energy. And that's based off of Google's sustainability and renewable energy commitment. Okay, so for me, when I talk about sustainability, I made a lot of modifications regarding how how I'm losing my train of thought. I'm so sorry. I made a lot of modifications regarding how I structured our businesses, and most of the things that we do in Divine Lux Properties and Lux Vision Studios are all remote. So we've reduced our carbon footprint by commute and things of that nature to prevent us from having to do so much travel and using things that are not so sustainable, such as gas. Okay, so let's talk about sustainable virtual goods and NFTs. The creation and trading of virtual goods and NFTs, which is non fungible tokens, can be energy intensive. Adopting more energy efficient blockchain technology like proof of stake can reduce environmental impact. Platforms such as Ethereum 2.0 are moving towards more sustainable models. And that's based off of Ethereum Foundation, Ethereum energy consumption. Now let's talk about digital twins and environmental monitoring. Digital twins can be used to simulate and monitor environmental conditions, helping businesses and governments make more sustainable decisions. These virtual replicas of physical environments can optimize resource usage and reduce waste. For example, cities can use digital twins to monitor air quality and manage traffic flows for reduced emissions. And that's based off of digital twins bridging the physical and digital. Now, this is my favorite part of this. We're going to talk about virtual workspaces, reducing carbon footprints. Like I mentioned a moment ago, most of what Divine Lux Properties and Lux Vision Studios does is remote, and we have reduced carbon footprint by not having to do much commute unless it is local. And most of the time it's done by smart cars, so there's no gas being used or no gas tanks being injured in the transition of getting from place to place.
Quick question. When you say smart car, are you talking about electric vehicles?
Electric vehicles, yes. So most of the time when I do travel locally, when I do make my choice as far as if I travel using rideshare apps or not, most of the time I can pick and choose the type of vehicle, and I most of the time prefer to ride in or be behind the wheel of a vehicle that is not a gas vehicle. We try, just like I'm speaking about it, most of my life is based on sustainability. But back to what I was saying here, we'll talk about virtual workspaces. So similar to us being on the Zoom now, I have used virtual workspaces for the better part of the last 4 years. So virtual workspaces can significantly reduce the need for commuting, like I stated, and physical office spaces. Thus lowering carbon footprint. Companies can hold meetings and collaborate in virtual environments, saving energy and resources. So that's something that I do most of the time. A lot of the meetings and things that we hold for the services that we offer are done virtually, so the commuting is not necessary most of the time. So platforms like Microsoft Mesh or Meta Horizon Workrooms are pioneers in this space. And for the most part, I used Meta Horizon Workrooms to do a lot of virtual meetings in those spaces, and they're really nice looking too. Very easy on the eyes. Let's see. Also, we'll also talk about sustainable practices in virtual events. So just to give a little backstory on this, with working with Devon Lux Properties, the majority of the time we are building out event spaces for these events. Previously, this last Tuesday, we did an event which was called Empower Her. And it was a forum for business women and empowerment. And we were able to have Barku Tudman, the chief of staff for Essence, come through and have a discussion with a lot of the business women that are in these virtual spaces. So it is possible. The event went very well. If I think I actually have some footage that I can share. Let me see. But while I'm looking for my footage to share, let's see here. I'll share my screen too so you can see. Let's see here. So I'll play I'll play a clip from the event. I have to just share my screen. And Barku was speaking about some of the work that she does in Liberia with her business. Let me see here. Share my screen. Okay, so this is just the clip from the event. So this is in one of those virtual spaces I was speaking about, and I'm just going to play about 1 minute and 44 seconds.
So the interesting thing is, so when I went back to Liberia, I knew I would struggle with, the infrastructure.
And this was in actually one of those spaces that we're speaking of, one of those virtual spaces.
There's not 24-hour there's not running water unless you can afford, to have a borehole or well. So those things were things that I expected to be a challenge. What I did not expect was the people. Because what I didn't expect was the mentality of the people, because they had gone through so many years of civil unrest.
So that's just one of the clips from the event that we were able to do with Barku Tudman. You can actually reference to the Lux Vision Studios on YouTube for the full footage of that event. But back to hosting those virtual events, like I was saying, such as conferences and exhibitions can significantly reduce the environmental impact and impact associated with travel and accommodations at physical events. Now, Barku is she's from Liberia, but she was in Atlanta at the time. So that speaks to having to cover, overhead for flights and things of that nature. So that reduces quite a bit of what it would have cost to get her to any of the locations where we were. I mean, there's people from all over at this event in all different states. Let's see here. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about those events. So events like events like Decentraland's Metaverse Fashion Week, that was done. It was a large scale virtual gathering that minimized environmental impact. Also, we've done several, music events with artists that, wanted to like throw concerts and things of that nature, but the overhead prevented them from doing so. So that, of course, it kind of changes the trajectory of performance and concerts and conferences and events across the board, because you can set up an event to be done, and like I stated, the overhead is very minimal based on what you're doing and depending on the platform that you're in. So next, I want to talk about social media role and promoting sustainability. Social media platforms within the virtual business model can amplify sustainable practices by promoting eco-friendly behaviors and sharing information on sustainability efforts. Influencers and brands can use virtual spaces to host sustainable campaigns, raising awareness and driving positive change. And that's based off of source Sprout Social, the role of social media and sustainability. Now, next, I want to talk about AI for enhanced sustainability in your virtual business model. Now, AI can optimize energy uses by predicting and managing power requirements for servers and virtual environments. It can also enhance users' experiences while minimizing resource consumption. So, like I talked about the last time I was here, we talked a lot about how AI is like my assistant. I am pro AI because it does make the job as far as productivity a lot easier. And as far as data goes, it does help a great deal when it comes to getting the data you need when we talk about enhancing the user experience. So that's another thing I want to talk about. And then we talk about how AI driven analytics can provide insights into user behaviors and suggest sustainable practices, such as virtual meeting times and minimizing energy usage. So like I stated, that just goes over exactly what I mentioned a moment ago. It's really most of the time with AI, it does a lot of the heavy lifting for me. But that the source that I want to cite for that is going to be MIT Technology Review, AI and Sustainability. And next, I want to also talk about implementing sustainability in the virtual business model. To successfully implement sustainability in the virtual business model, businesses and developers need to adopt best practices, such as designing energy efficient virtual environments. Now, that is important. I would say most of the time since 2020 and COVID has happened, that changed completely how we do business across the board. So having these virtual spaces available, I would say is a benefit. I mean, ultimately, it's awesome to be able to do, Zoom calls and things of that nature, but being in these virtual spaces, you are physically, virtually, you're there with the person. So it gives you more of a personal feel versus a phone call or being in a Zoom call. You're actually in a room with them. You can, see their mannerisms, see how they feel regarding what's being discussed and things of that nature. And then of course you can also, with Meta Horizon Workrooms, you can share your screen. You can go over like payment information. You can do a lot of different things on these virtual platforms that, they really have cut out the limitation. Basically, if you have internet connection, you can pretty much have access to these these virtual options, and most of them are available on mobile as well as through a VR headset. And then with that, that goes right into what my next part of this is. It's collaboration. Collaboration is primarily what I do on a regular basis. I collaborate constantly with businesses as well as individuals on these environments. And a lot of the things that I've discussed in this on this Tech Thursday is based off of the of collaborating and being in these virtual spaces. I've been in these virtual spaces for almost 4 years now, and the model works. It's just implementing it in your business. We'll talk about that. Collaboration with environmental organizations and continuous monitoring of environmental impacts are crucial for ongoing improvement. We're in the information age. As we know, a business is changing. It's not, not what it used to be. And the system, like I said, the system works. We just have to apply it. Next, I want to talk about benefits of sustainable tech in the virtual business model. Integrating sustainable tech in a virtual business model can lead to numerous benefits, including reduced energy consumption, like we spoke about, a lower carbon footprint, and the promotion of sustainable behaviors among users. Moreover, it enhances the reputation of platforms as environmentally conscious and forward thinking. And here are some statistics. A survey by IBM found that 77% of consumers and employees prefer to support businesses that are committed to sustainability. And that's based off of the source IBM Consumer and Employee Sustainability Preferences. Let's see here. So next I'll talk about challenges and consideration. Now, despite the benefits, there are challenges in making virtual business models sustainable. These include the need for significant investment in renewable energy, developing more energy efficient technologies, and ensuring equitable access to sustainable resources. Now, addressing these challenges require collaboration between tech companies, governments, and consumers. And that's based off of the source, Harvard Business Review, the challenge of growing green. Now, in conclusion, virtual business models present a unique opportunity to implement and promote sustainable practices. By integrating green technology into virtual environments, we can reduce our overall environmental impact and set a precedent for the future digital developments. I encourage all stakeholders in virtual business models to explore and adopt sustainable technologies to create a more environmentally friendly virtual world. Thank you for your attention. I welcome any questions you may have.
Okay, well, I've got some questions.
Great.
So I'm really excited to hear this because, I mean, for a long time, we've been operating in a very sustainable way. And I'm going to bring myself back into the room. Hold on just a second. Yeah, but I think that it's so important for people to know that they have options. And it's not just a situation where, you're operating sustainable, so you have to do something very, specific, but that there's room for you to be creative in, when you're doing this. And so, what are your thoughts, about someone who is a solopreneur, and they are, moving, well, they have been a solopreneur and they're moving from having just them and them, themselves, I should say, in the room, all the time working from home, maybe, or in an office space, a shared office space. And then now they're going to have contractors, or they may even have employees. What are some of the practices that they can employ to move around sustainably when they're going into, now having to have others involved in their work place?
Well, I would say implementing a lot of these virtual space options, because I mean, most of the time, a lot of these companies are paying for office space. A lot of them are paying for co-working. A lot of them are having to cover the cost to have their employees or have their business partners come into a physical place, and they're having to cover costs for, like I said, overhead, hotel, all the above. I know when I was working for a regular company, when I was working for a bank, a lot of times they would bring in their CEOs for town hall and things of that nature, and it'd be 10 to 15 of them at a time, and you have so many resources in your hand. I mean, for the most part, internet, can be inexpensive, especially when it's just an individual and not, a larger group of people. It can be inexpensive, so that most of the time that's probably the most expensive you'll have to worry about. Otherwise, as long as you can connect to the internet, you can go into these virtual spaces and you can have 10 to 15, 20, 30, 40 or 50 people, in a meeting at once. You can do a virtual town hall and not have to worry about flying in your CEO that lives in Kentucky and Barbados and wherever else. You save a lot more money, and you can put that back into more sustainable tech at the end of the day. So I would say definitely implement some of these virtual spaces.
So when you say virtual spaces, help me understand what that looks like. Is that the metaverse, or are we talking about Zoom? I mean,
Oh, no, no,
we
no, no, no. There's definitely a difference between a Zoom call and a virtual environment. A virtual environment means that you have a physical space around you. You can put yourself into the Bahamas and sit everybody down on an island and have tables around and have the sun out. Honestly, I feel like with me having with me doing a lot of these meetings and things like that in that space, which I've been doing for a few years now. Honestly, going from being in a WebEx meeting at the bank, sitting at my desk on the camera, that part it gave me a lot of anxiety, because number one, I'm in a place where, it's not really a calm place. I'm having to diffuse oils here just to try to calm myself down because you would be sitting in these Zoom meetings, and, you're already stressed because you went from being, and this is talking COVID, um,
in the office to
in
be.
the office to being at home, and then they want you to be home coherent with your kids in the background. You can't mute yourself. You have to be on camera. You have to see what I'm doing. I'm leaning out the camera here, back here now. Javon, are you still with us? You know what I mean? That is a lot. Okay? That is a lot. So the difference between the two is definitely night and day. I mean, you're in an environment where you're calm. You can have calm music playing in the background, and they feel like they're on a vacation. They may not be on vacation, but for that moment, you have taken them out of, a space where it can be chaotic, and you're putting them in a space where they're calm and you can think clearer that way. I mean, my thoughts are,
I mean, and I was being funny, but at the end of the day, it's very real, to be
it
in a
is,
situation where you're
it is.
in. I've taken a matter of fact, you and I were in a meeting where we were we were on the moon. It was
Yeah,
like quite
yeah.
interesting. We went into the metaverse, and then you were in your avatar, I was in my avatar, and to the moon we went, and we had our whole meeting in the moon with the lady who was there explaining to us about academic opportunities, in the metaverse. And so it is quite a different uh, take on meetings, to be
Oh
in a
yeah, no,
situation.
it definitely is, because I mean, you're in a more relaxed environment. And for me, that was important. I mean, the level of stress, okay, I can't tell you. I mean, I would be perfectly fine, and then I get a chat that says meeting in 5 minutes, blood pressure, heart palpitations. I mean, just not the thought of it, because it's like, you got micromanagement, then you have the fact that you're giving all that you can, and then it's like that's not good enough, and then they have to try to tell you in the nicest way possible, like, yeah, you're working really hard, but work harder. That okay. What do you mean? I'm giving you all I got. I don't have anything left. What do you want me to give you? There's nothing left. So you can just imagine, going from that to this, and being able to get your thoughts through, not feeling like you hit your plateau. You constantly are able to get to your thoughts and think clearly. You can change spaces. You don't have to be in the same space that you were in yesterday. I can be on the moon today and on a spaceship tomorrow.
Or a
I mean,
catamaran, right?
right. I'm just saying. I mean, it
Yeah.
makes it makes a big difference. And I mean, for since work has changed, since the new normal is what it is, sustainability is where it's at. I mean, you saving money. I mean, I'm all for that. Saving a couple of
Yeah.
dollars.
Okay, so let me ask you a couple more questions that I know that we're nearing the end, but I really do want people to think a little bit more forward, because for someone
Yeah.
who's worked all their life in a, you know, 9 by 9 cubicle, or for that matter,
Yeah.
behind a what do you call those things that you guys have, the used to have the little padded walls? Okay, I don't know what they're called. Um, but having the ability to have the freedom, to be in a situation where you're in a physical location, and you're in at your home, but yet you're also in a position where you can actually do simulations, and you can show people how things work, and you can do presentations, and you can actually present in an office, or you can present in an auditorium. I mean, there are options depending on how many people need to be there. You can be in a full conference room with 20 people in chairs around a desk, or not a desk, but a table, and you're there presenting, and everyone's hearing it. You have a big screen that you can put up there and show. Sometimes you have 2 screens. So what does that do for, and I know you're dealing with a lot of different business owners, but what do you hear most often from them about the controls that they have over their environment? And Kevin, I see your hand.
Well, the thing about it is, not a lot of people are environmentally aware. They're so used to doing business the way that they've been doing it for the last 20 to 30 years. They're not even aware of the resources that are out there to
Okay.
to even cut the cost. I mean, the majority of
Yeah.
multi-billion-dollar businesses are trying their best to cut costs where they can. And, even though when COVID happened, they had brought everybody home, that probably would have been the best thing that they could have done for productivity, and should have done it way before then, you know, but a lot of people are unaware. You know, the most of the time when we're sharing what we're sharing on Lux Vision Studios, and we're going live and streaming the shows that we're streaming, people are so blown away by what the platform can do and what the metaverse has to offer. This is a virtual business model at this point. And this is
Okay, let's take Kevin's question because I know he had his hand up. Kevin?
Go ahead, Kevin.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, you mentioned that you can have like 20, 30 people in there, or you might be speaking to a larger group.
True.
My question is that, are we speaking specifically of Zoom or some other platform?
No, we're talking about in these in virtual environments. So there are a lot of different platforms out there that allow you to allow you to access them through your phone or through the computer, or even through headset. So you have a group of people that have access to a virtual reality headset. Then you have a group of people that have access just to their phones. And then you have another group of people that have access just to their computers. So that
or to a tablet, right?
Or to a tablet, right?
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
so they on all of these different devices, they can all be in a virtual environment, at a conference, at a birthday party, at a book launch, or whatever, in this virtual space, and it did not require any commute.
Okay, well, the reason why I ask is because I facilitate groups online using Zoom, and I know depending on your membership level in the Zoom depends on like how many attendees you can have in your meeting, and like how long your meeting can be and stuff like that. So that's why I was asking that question.
Kevin, you know what? That is a really good point, because a lot of people, if they're not paying for, a pro package or premium package with Zoom, they don't have access. They can only have the meeting go a certain amount of time, and it does hinder, some of the types of meetings that you might with, the quality even of the meeting that you would have based on the fact that you have restrictions. So, Javon, my question is, what does it cost if somebody already has a computer or a headset or their own, phone or their laptop or their tablet? What would it cost for them to be able to go in and have a meeting? And is there a per minute charge or anything that people would have to pay in order for them to get into one of these types of environments?
The majority of these environments, to open up an account with these people or with these companies, they don't have a cost. So as long as you have the technology to be able to get into them, you can make your account and you'll be able to have an event. I mean, the limitations are, some platforms have a limited amount of people. Like, you can throw an event and the minimum you could have is maybe 20 people. I know in Meta Horizon.
You mean the maximum or the minimum?
I'm sorry, the maximum when you have like a base account is around 20, 25 people. With Meta Horizon Worlds, there's not a fee. So basically, as long as it can be built out and published, you can have 32 people in there. There are limitations as far as capacity, but that's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother day. But for the most part,
generally, if you had if you crafted your meeting to say that space is limited, we have 25, the availability for 25 people to participate, sign up early. You literally could go in there and have a 4-hour meeting.
Right. On Tuesday, there were 32 people, including the cameras. There was 32 people, and they were able to be in there. You can be in there for hours, 8, 9.
Okay, so here's my question.
We've done 5 hours at one time before, and it's not going to throw us out. It's you're in a server. I mean, only time that typically would happen if there's like system issues, but that's not likely.
Okay, so here's another question. All right, so we're in there. We have the ability to have some, 20 people in the room, and we are all having a meeting. Okay, and we have no time limitations, and so of course, based on the content, you could literally record this meeting as well.
Correct.
Huh. And so is this like an audio recording or is this audio and video? How long can we record? What are the limitations there?
For the most part, depending, because I know this may still be an experimental, but on the headset you can go live and stream it. Or you have the ability from your perspective looking outward, you can record from in your headset, and that doesn't have a limit of time to it.
Just based on whether you're plugged in or on battery,
Right. But
but capacity, you could actually record the whole meeting or
right.
whatever.
You could record the whole meeting and go back and get your notes. Yes.
Okay. And then where do you go and get the footage? I mean, does it record on the actual headset or is it recording in the cloud or what is happening?
You record it and then you can access it through the Meta Quest app, and you can download it from there.
Okay. Now, I heard you mention something about streaming. So streaming where? Where do we stream to?
Well, I know it's an experimental. Some people have access to it. It's like a soft rollout, but you can stream it to whatever account you're logged into. So if your stuff is synced up to what your account is, so like your Instagram, your Facebook, then you can stream either directly to Facebook directly to Facebook or directly to Instagram.
Okay. What about YouTube and some of these other platforms? Is that something that is available yet or coming or what's happening?
Not to YouTube or any of those other platforms. It would be strictly to, Meta umbrella.
Okay.
If you're doing it through the Meta Quest.
Now, I know that in other platforms like Engage and, Spatial and what's the other one? It starts with an A. Oh gosh. Oh, I can't think of it. I just had it went past me. But there's a couple of other, platforms that they advertise that you could record your entire meeting there. And I know that I have done a meeting inside of Engage before in an auditorium and recorded it. And the recording, we actually took the footage from that and put it on Facebook. And we actually put it also on YouTube. So, I mean, the possibilities are, kind of endless at this point, depending on which platform you use, you can get a different end result, based on, what the platform is. Yeah. So.
Yeah, it just depends on what your overall goals are. I would say when it comes to business, I would say the two options you would have as far as events go would be most likely Engage and Spatial. And there's also one called Remio. I've been in there on and off. I believe they allow you to record in there, and then you still have access to your Meta avatar.
Okay.
But I would say those are probably, Meta Horizon as well. But like I said, limitations as far as you only can have 32 people in the world at a time. So
yeah, now I do know that because we were in an interview with Engage platform, and I was to find out that you could pay to have more people if you like,
True.
So it's kind of you get 20. I think you get 10 on the free account. And then you get 25, I think for the $9.99 a month. If you want to have events every day, it does not matter. You can do that every day, all day long, as long as you're paying for that particular monthly fee. But then if you go for the enterprise fee, then you can have more people in a room. And he said something like we could have was it 125, I think, in some of the venues where they have like concert venues and things of that nature. And in some of the other ones, it could be as much as 75. So that seemed pretty interesting to me because, Kevin, as you were talking about, having some of these other meetings, this could be a very non-restrictive way to be able to deploy, a meeting with people who is especially, with regards to, things that we've been talking about today, even, recovery and some of the professional development and I mean, different kinds of classes and courses. And I know that the colleges are using the software, Javon. So, I know you've been very much aware of the different colleges that have moved into the metaverse, and we've talked about it before. They have what they call metaversities and meta academies and things of that nature. So we look to really see this coming, in the forefront, made more available to us in the people who are just really getting started, in the very near future. Thank you so much for sharing. We have been so delighted to hear what you had to share with us today, and we will so be excited to see what you're going to share next week. But in the meantime, those of you who have questions, where can they reach you, Javon?
You can reach me at www.luxvisionstudios.com. You also can reach me on Lux Vision Studio. You also can reach me on the Lux Vision Studio on Instagram, and we're also on all social media platforms as well.
How do they spell Lux Vision Studios?
That's LUXE Vision, VISION Studios, STUDIOS.
Okay, we are so clear that you hold on just a second. I'm so sorry, guys. We are clear that you have been up all night, and we know that because you guys have been filming in other countries that this was a real stretch to have you do this today, but we're so grateful that you did. We look forward to seeing you all again tomorrow on our 12 noon Friday co-working session, and we will be here right here serving everyone and help them do business better. And until then, we'll see you again next time.